really hoping this video can serve as a sign to anyone who has one of those really big, deep, soul type goals that just hasn't manifested yet, and maybe it's been a long time since you've started trying to manifest it and you're starting to give up hope. I'm hoping this would be a good sign for anyone out there, because moving to New York City has been a goal of mine since I was in college, actually. And then as I got older, through movies and shows, I was like, wow, New York City, like, that's a dream. I'd love to live somewhere like that, like the way it's pictured in all the rom-coms. However, at the time, it seemed more of like not gonna happen kind of dream. It was something I wanted that felt right in my heart, but I just didn't feel like it could happen because it was such a deep contrast from where I was living in my current situation versus, like, you know, New York City. In 2016, I moved from my home state of Georgia to Columbus, Ohio, which is where I met my husband, Noah. And it just so happens that Noah's dream city as well was New York City. Also just so happens that New York City is where Noah asked me to be his girlfriend and then also proposed to me. We took 2 separate trips, one with his family during like a Thanksgiving trip when he proposed at Washington Square Park, and the other one when Noah and I were super broke when he was still in college. I didn't finish college, if you're wondering. We took this like $30 a person overnight bus that just dropped you off on a random street in New York City and picked you up like 2 days later. We did that just so we could come here for like 2 nights, and that's when he asked me to be his girlfriend. And so it was probably around 2016 that I first started actually putting New York City on my vision boards and thinking like, wait, what if I actually try and live here? What if I actually try and make this goal happen? And I would research apartment prices, and Noah and I would both look, and at the time we were like, there is absolutely no way we can afford this. In 2017, Noah was looking into internships for college because he knew that a lot of his friends were going to different states to do internships over the summer, and he thought, you know, what if we look into New York City? And Noah applied to all of these internships in New York, Chicago, and honestly, none of them were really panning out. And then he decided last minute to start applying to internships in Los Angeles, and what do you know, he got an internship to LA. So we packed up all our stuff and we moved to LA for 6 months. So after we got back to the internship, we're like, let's only be in Ohio for 6 months and then let's go to New York. Let's do it. Let's plan for once you finish college, we're gonna go straight to New York. And then that 6 months was over and we just absolutely could not afford New York. So we're like, okay, let's stay in Ohio another year and see if we can do it next year. And during that year, we saved as much money as we could. Noah was looking for all these different jobs in New York City. I was hustling on YouTube, and the year just kept getting close. The end of the year was approaching, and it was just not gonna happen. We had so many thoughts of like, what if we just go? What if we just take the leap and see what happens? And I'm so glad we didn't do that, because I know if we had moved before we were ready, we would have just came right back, and we probably wouldn't have gone again because we would have been so heartbroken. After all this time of Noah applying to all these jobs in New York and none of them coming through, he decides, what if I apply to a few in Los Angeles, California? Noah applied to 3 jobs in California. He got 2 interviews at 2 different companies, and both of them offered him a position. So when that happened, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought maybe this is just a sign that New York isn't for us right now. So I kind of started thinking like, maybe this isn't something that's gonna manifest for me. You know, not everything is supposed to work out, so I let it go. So we moved to LA, and honestly, I had the most transformative, important, impactful years of my life in Los Angeles, California. We actually lived right outside of Los Angeles for a while. We lived in the Valley, but we moved to LA for 2 years, and we didn't have any plans of moving. But during all that time, I was putting in all this effort to all the things, to other goals that I had in mind. My YouTube channel, my book, which I'll talk to you about in a video very soon. My book, just my overall career success, my relationship with my husband, friendships, my mental health. I started going to therapy. I started really taking action towards other goals. Whereas in 2018 and 2017, all of my focus was doing things just for the point of trying to get to New York City. That's when I was posting that content that I've looked back at and I deleted and told you guys I wasn't proud of. So my actions really weren't aligning properly with what I wanted, because moving to New York City was something that was supposed to be really exciting and really happy, but I was doing all the stuff that I wasn't proud of trying to get there. In 2020, things did get a little hard for us, and Noah was laid off due to the pandemic, and there was a few months stint where things got really, really tough on us and we had to go into our savings and we were really stressed and we were like, what's next for us? Like, you know, he was applying to all these jobs and thankfully he applied for one job and he got it. So Noah's boss sat him down one day and said, I don't know if you'd ever be interested in this, but we actually have an opening position for a higher role that would pay more doing the same job you did, but just a little higher, that we think you'd be perfect for in our New York City office. We're not sure if you'd ever be interested in taking it, but if you would, we would help you get out there. And then Noah came home that day and was like, my boss kind of offered for us to transfer to New York. And here it was, this goal that I had forgotten about for 2 years. And in that moment, it's like that dream came rushing right back and it was perfect timing. And I mean, perfect timing. Everything that could have worked out, worked out. Everything that could have gone wrong went right. So I went to his boss the next day and was like, you know, I'm not sure if you were being serious or not, but I've always wanted to live in New York City and my parents live in Ohio, so we could actually be able to drive to see them more often because that's about a 7-hour drive away. I'd love to take the opportunity. I kid you not, they said, could you move within a month? A month. And we moved 1 month later. Everything went right. And I'm telling you, I've had so many failures and so many things in my life that went wrong. Like, I am still shocked. For example, we lived in tons of apartments. Breaking leases is not fun. They never let you do it. Our apartment, because it was 2020, for some reason we asked them if we could go, they let us. And not even that, they were like, oh, well, we also have an apartment complex in New York City. You could transfer there for free. Your pet deposit would transfer, your security deposit would transfer. You wouldn't have to pay any moving fees. So you wouldn't even have to break your lease. So we didn't have to pay a deposit, no pet fees. We had no idea what the apartment was gonna look like. We weren't able to view it before. And if you've seen my clip of us walking in, when I thought my last apartment was my dream apartment, this is my dream apartment. It is my home. I feel so at home here. I feel so happy being here. Everyone always talks about like trust and let go, imperfect timing. Like, you know, if you want something, the universe will bring it to you. It just matters. You don't have to question the when, it'll just happen. And it took like 6 years of us wanting this for it to happen. And there's so many times along the way that I was like, I don't want it anymore then. You know how sometimes we feel like, well, if I can't have it now, then I don't want it? You don't really feel that way. You may think you do. I thought I did, you don't. In this moment, if there's something you want and you're like, well, if I can't have it within a year or two, I don't want it. Don't think like that, because in 2 or 3 years, you're gonna be like, wait, no, I'd still take it. In 5 years, you'd be like, wait, no, I would still take it if it's something that you really, truly want. So we have to let go of that mindset of, if I can't have it now, because everything works out in perfect timing for you if you trust the process and you let go. That doesn't mean you can't put things on vision boards and script. I do all of those things, but it does show that when I stopped obsessing over New York City and I started living my life, like, it started working for me. Why am I getting choked up? A few other tips is you also just want to make sure when the timing is right, you step on that train and you go for whatever it is. And it was so scary. Like, it was terrifying packing up my stuff in Georgia, moving to Ohio all by myself. Coming from a family that didn't treat me very well, and I was so confused on life and what was right and wrong in the world, because the family I grew up with does not have the views that I have now. If you think about the way the world is going on right now, very different. And I had no idea who I was or what I wanted or what I was gonna do. I didn't have a college degree. I barely passed high school. And then I moved to Ohio by myself, and it was terrifying, but it felt right. Like, everything in my head was screaming go. Were they terrifying leaps? Was moving to California to New York a terrifying leap? Terrifying. But sometimes you have to make that scary jump. And this is where your intuition really comes to play, because sometimes you have that gut feeling, that sickening feeling like, I'm not supposed to take this leap, but I kind of want to because I want it now. But then sometimes you have that intuition feeling that's like, no, I'm terrified as shit to do this, but I know I need to. All of those things that happened taught me life lessons I needed, helped me grow as a person. I learned how to work hard for the things I wanted, but also align myself with my work to make sure I'm proud of what I'm doing. I became a person that I'm proud of. I worked on my finances so I can actually afford the place here. And like when it was right and I kept doing the action towards my other goals, but this one was still somewhere lingering up there in the universe, we slowly we came together. We came together. Not everything is meant to happen right now, and it's okay if everyone else is on a different timeline. I will say right before it happened, I did put move to New York City again on one of my vision boards, which was really, really weird because I hadn't put it on my vision board in like 2 years. And randomly when I did the manifest with your phone video, I'll put that up here, when I turned my phone into a vision board, I just had a thought when I was typing out my goals on my little notepad to put move to New York City. Even when I typed it out, I was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna go there now. I think it could be like 5-10 years from now, but I just wanna put it on there anyways. It looks cute on my phone, and I do wanna go there eventually. So I wasn't stressed over it. I wasn't stressed over the goal. I was excited for the one day of the goal, and I wasn't like worried about when it would happen, because in that moment I was like, you know, I think it'll happen one day. I just don't know when. Oh no, my camera died, but I love you guys so much, and I will see you all next time. Bye.